I guess what I'm thinking, man. What I'm thinking is, um, phew, change. I guess the first thing I would need to know for me is, what do I need to change? What's wrong? If nothing's wrong, why change anything? So I
Is
need.
this a more general
Well,
direction that you're wanting to take the conversation to, or are we talking specifically about you?
just about a person wanting to change.
So more, more not about you.
Right, not about me. I've
Okay.
I've had my
Leaving it open
processes.
to the
Yeah,
open to the public.
yeah. I mean, I struggle. I don't struggle with change as much as I struggle with accepting a change. The faster I can come to the conclusion that the change is good, it's not harmful, it's not the end of the world, and adjust to the change, my life's a lot smoother. You know what I mean?
Okay. I hear you.
Yeah.
And this is what you want. You want to talk about your life in this YouTube live?
Not necessarily. I mean, if somebody asks me a question, maybe, but just the process of change, man, and getting honest with ourselves.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like stagnation, man, is crippling a lot of people. Just being okay with the status quo, but knowing that something's not right inside, and I need to make an adjustment. I need to make a change. Where do I start to do that?
Complacency.
Yeah, yeah. Where do I start to make a change though? If I'm stuck or complacent, maybe I'm in a bad relationship. Maybe I'm at a bad job. Maybe I'm a liar. Maybe I'm just can't get right on my judgments. Maybe I got poor boundaries. Maybe I need to make improvements on my parenting or my whatever it is that we need to change or adjust. What's that process like, and why are we so scared of it? Change is always happening, right?
Yeah.
Constantly, constant.
Change is inevitable. That's what I always say.
It's consistent. It's constantly happening, man. The cells in our body, the world around us, the landscape, our environment, it's constantly edging towards something different. You know,
Absolutely.
I would go on to say this, Marcus, that you can pick anyone's life and they would see chaos in this organization, and I wish I could do this better. But looking from the outside, you may see organization in their chaos.
Oh, the facades that a man or woman puts up.
Yeah, you may see organization in their chaos.
Why would you see that? Not what's true.
Well, because chaos is organization.
From a certain perspective, I guess it could possibly be.
would you say that we are a result of chaos? You look more into that.
I would have to look up the word chaos.
Well, okay. Well, look up the origin of chaos theory. Things like that. That's what I'm talking about. But anyway, I digress. Change. When things become too painful, staying the same, do we change? And do we encourage people to keep going through the pain until they can't take it anymore as motivation?
I guess you're talking about like when is the right time to make a move in regards to change?
Well, let's say the general public or a person is struggling to make a change, but where they're at is painful, and we can become, you got learned helplessness coming into play. You got, what else do you have? Pride, shame. There's some type of benefit in staying in painful situations or even uncomfortable situations.
And that's what you're going to talk about, the difficult change.
Yeah, just
out of the spectrum, you're going to be on the left side.
I'm on the side of, can I look at myself and self-correct and make adjustments? Okay. I mean, I'm talking from, I'm talking from, there's stuff in the back of our heads, right? That where I'm coming from with this. We could go real technical, but I'm not trying to do that. But let's throw one out there just so we can put things in perspective. Maybe Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization, maybe just increased self-awareness, maybe looking at morality, maybe the 7 deadly sins, may better explain someone's internal workings, internal world, and they can make adjustments, understanding, our emotional maturity levels, understanding.
I guess you would have to sort of have a baseline.
Okay.
Start from a baseline. Right?
Okay. I would think in a compared group.
No, I'm just saying, start from a baseline of what would be, I hate this word, especially in the sense that we're using normal.
Yeah.
And then because change is something that how do you know when to make a change? And you sort of have to have a baseline of who you are, where you are in space and time to know when to make a change, and then what change do you need to make? There's a spectrum of options.
Right. And I think that's the conversation I'm trying to have is, are things uncomfortable, and are you just adjusting how much you can tolerate in the uncomfortableness? You know what I mean?
What will be the markers will let you know. I mean, if you're
okay, that's yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you're complacent and you're just going along with the flow, a typical white man in America, and complacency, how ironic. What would be the triggers for you to know, whoa,
right?
This
confrontation.
There needs to be a change that is made. There needs to be reparations given. Whatever,
Well, how about this? Feedback and confrontation. When you get confrontation and feedback on your actions, thoughts, expressions, opinions, it's a trigger to change. If you, Kyle, and G-Man say, hey, man, you messing up, the way you going about this is probably not the best way. It's causing you a lot of discomfort. I know whatever the case is.
So those are external clues.
Yes.
External clues that'll let you know that there is change.
I think
you need to make.
Well, I think the external clues kind of tip your hand to what you're experiencing on the inside. Here's one way I can think about it. There's a distorted sense of security in familiar pain. So until you get some comparative outside feedback, some type of internal understanding of I'm going the wrong way. This is not healthy. This is not benefiting me. Whatever the case is, then what? You've made a decision to change. Now what?
Going back to this distorted sense of security, is it always distorted? I don't know if I like that word. I honestly got hung up on that because distorted, that's a judgment call. Because the first thing that came in my mind was POWs that are in war times get caught by another country, and they have to go through a period of surviving. Different things they have to do in order to survive for a long period of time.
Exactly.
Going to what is that syndrome that
institutionalization?
Stockholm.
Okay, Stockholm. Okay. Well, that just
even get that. So, but when we say distorted, you said distorted sense of security.
In familiar pain.
In familiar pain.
Yeah. It kind of goes back to.
Is it really distorted? I mean, it's secure. You know, you're living. Like you're doing what you have to do to live. You're doing what you have to do to survive. So it's not distorted. You are doing the things that make you secure, and you're living each and every day because of the decisions and the choices that you're making. So it's not distorted. That's reality. You know,
Okay.
that is
Okay.
what it is.
So
and that can bring contentment. That can bring a sense of comfort, a sense of even, you know, agreeing with your captors because you are so.
okay.
You understand that the environment is making this content. It's not. But if you're saying that's a distortion.
Yes. I'm saying that
Because when you come back to the United States and you don't need those survival skills anymore, you know, and it's hard to transition back into normal society, and you know, you need to be able to turn that off, those survival skills off, because those are things that were adapted during, I guess you're saying, distorted times. So,
well, I'm saying plainly, and I think, you know, people that hear this plainly would agree with it. If they look at their lives and they've ever been in a situation where they've rationalized some of their values, some of the things they stand for, they may have found themselves in a situation where the familiarity is more comforting than the internal discomfort. Therefore, we rationalize that the distortion that we think is living, that we think is thriving, that we think is production, you know, it may be. But the distortion is that this pain, this uncomfortableness, I can live with because it's familiar. I'm comfortable with it. It's like the rabbit saying, please don't throw me in the briar patch, because that's where he's comfortable at.
yeah, but that prisoner of war would just live in that position of comfort until they're rescued. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, that's, I mean, I hear what you're doing with the exception to the rule. You know, I hear that. And of course, there is exceptions to the rule.
Survival.
Yeah.
A primary function. All bets are off when we talk about survival.
I think so. However, let's not, we digress to back to the topic. So here we are at a position where, you know, we're confused. Maybe we went through something. Maybe we experienced an arrest. Maybe we experienced a hospitalization. Maybe we've experienced abandonment. Maybe we've experienced homelessness. Maybe something has triggered us to confront ourselves to say, I need to make a change. And what I'm saying in this video is, what's next? Now that you understand where you need to make a change at, how do you go about doing that? What may be the first steps? Of course, we could use a stage of change, and we can say pre-contemplation, contemplation, action, you know, all that. But you need energy to do the stages of change, right?
Yes, you do. You definitely need to
You need,
expel
yes.
some type of energy, do some type of work. There needs to be something tangible that you're doing.
Okay.
That manifests in reality.
Okay. So how do I change? What do I do? I think what we're getting at, Marcus, is that um, to be aware is to be alive, and to be aware of our internal interpersonal skills, right, is what I'm talking about. To be able to recognize and identify trouble spots. Sometimes you can't feel them. Sometimes they have to be logical. Sometimes you have to say, you know, I'm doing things, not feeling things, but I'm doing things messed up. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to have an emotional anchor. It could just be a realization that I keep doing this thing, and it's not, you know, and it's maladaptive, or it's, you know, causing me, you know, some type of trepidation. But I think
whatever you do, you have to do it with enthusiasm.
True. Okay. Okay. What about self-evaluation? Where does that come into play? And what do people mean when they say they're keeping it 100?
Prior to you doing what you're about to do.
Okay. So what do people mean when they say they're gonna keep it 100, Marcus?
What do people mean when they say they're gonna keep 100? So I guess that just relates to truth. You know.
Okay.
That's what I've always summed it down to being is I'm about to give you a healthy. You're about to experience with all of your senses a healthy dose of truth. That's what I've always thought of when I've heard people say I'm gonna keep it 100.
Okay. So let's take it a step further. What do you think about when someone says, "I'm trying to work on myself. I'm doing work on myself"? It's such an open statement. I just want to ask more questions about what they mean by that. What do they mean by that?
Yeah, it could be it's gonna definitely be very unique to each individual, but I would imagine that they looked at the spectrum of feelings and emotions in their life, and I would think when somebody says they're working on themselves, they're gonna go towards the positive, the things that make them feel good, the things that make them emotionally happy, mentally stable, and they've identified some of the things that have they can remember, or some of the things that they think might make them in a better position because of mentally, emotionally, and they're gonna step by step put themselves in this position to experience that, be involved in that on a consistent basis, without the regression back to, let's say, a bad habit or whatever the case may be.
Okay, and that's a that's one way to look at it. I'm going a little bit deeper than when someone says to me, "I'm working on myself." The questions I would like to ask them is, what exactly are you what are you working on? What does that look like? Are you working on being less prideful? Are you working on being humble? Are you working on being less greedy? Do you understand what pride is your arch enemy? Do you understand experiences and what you're feeling like? What are you working on? What are you trying to change? What are you trying to achieve? And the reason for this line of questioning is this, Marcus. If you don't know where you're going, you could possibly end up somewhere you do not want to be.
Yeah, so you would assume that the people that are saying they're working on themselves would know that and would point themselves in a certain direction.
I don't know if I'm not assuming someone that says they're working on themselves knows more than what they just said.
I am. I'm going to assume that if somebody says they're working on themselves, they've made the determination to be pointing themselves in a certain direction that's in the best interest of them.
Yes, of course that's the case. I want to know, what are you working on? What are you trying to change? Yeah. What do you know about yourself?
You said you wanted to go deeper, but your first question was, when somebody says I'm working on myself, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And that's you're talking more specific. I'm talking more general.
Right. And it's okay. One of the tools that I picked up along the way to help people inventory themselves is, a popular term with me is resentment. Looking at where you're stuck at, frozen tears, unanswered questions, why questions, how questions. That's kind of where I would start to look at, where did I go wrong? Where do I need to change? Why am I responding to life this way? Why am I being triggered? What are my triggers? That type of awareness, I think, is the life on the inside that's reflecting on the outside. When I see people at peace, is that they are fighting those battles on the inside. And it's an intellectual battle. It's not necessarily emotional. It's in our thoughts.
I think another thing to take stock in, outside of what are my triggers and things of that nature that you said, another valuable one, or what are my coping skills?
Yes, that's where we're going. Yes. One of the things so when it comes to people's behavior, I think one of the things that people don't gather off the top of their head is that when you witness someone's behavior, it's a form of communication. People's behavior is a language in and of itself. Some people estimate, I've read up to 80, and some people say 90, and some people hover around 75% of all communication is behavior, body language.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that before, and I agree and believe that wholeheartedly.
And so when a person's, when you're trying to help a person bring their behavior in line with their intentions, is where you may find areas of confrontation, areas of giving feedback, areas of helping someone increase their awareness, blind spots. You know what I mean? Like the Johari window. There's that blind area where you or I neither know what's in that area.
That's where a good marriage really comes into play. Have your back, see the angles that you don't see, and work together as a team, as a partnership to be greater than the sum of its parts.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, because you realize that you have deficits within yourself, and
right.
Communicate that to the other person, and they can see the things that you can't.
Well, and it doesn't have to be necessarily
relationship.
Well, okay, you can find that in a good relationship, right? You can find it in a therapist. You can find it in a friend. You can find it in your pastor. You can find that feedback and that reflectiveness from a trusted person, somebody that knows you. My greatest growth comes from the people that know me and take the time to get to know me, to tell me what they see.
Your greatest what comes from that?
I can't repeat it, Mark. One of the greatest strengths in having trusted people is trusting their feedback and what they see. You know what I mean? What they see in you.
Well, that's always a double-edged sword, my dude, because you're putting yourself out there in the wrong position. I'm pretty sure you gotta have your own personal walls that you have developed over time to filter out, and because